I never thought a seating chart could break me. But it did. That morning, I stood in front of the mirror, smoothing the soft fabric of my dress. My hands trembled as I adjusted the straps. Today was my brother Daniel's wedding. And despite everything, despite years of being overlooked, being second best, I wanted to show up. Because that's what families do, right? They show up. The hall glittered with chandeliers. Roses lined the aisles. Waiters weaved between tables with trays of champagne that caught the light like liquid gold. Everyone looked perfect. Everyone looked happy. I walked among the tables, searching for my name card. My chest tight with hope. Maybe, just maybe, I'd sit near Daniel. Maybe near my parents. Maybe tonight, I wouldn't be invisible. Then I found it. Table 23. At the very back of the hall. So far, I had to crane my neck just to see the head table. My name, written in elegant cursive, but buried among distant relatives I barely recognized. I felt my stomach drop. It wasn't just a mistake. It was a message. As the speeches began, I sat frozen, my hands folded in my lap. The best man raised his glass and said, "Here's to the pride of the Carter family. The son who made us all proud." The room erupted in applause. My parents' faces glowed with joy. Daniel beamed like a king crowned in front of his kingdom. And me. I sat in the shadows, clapping quietly, choking down the truth I had always known. I didn't matter. No one noticed when I slipped out. I left my plate half-eaten, my glass untouched, and walked into the cold night. The laughter and music faded behind me as my heels clicked against the pavement. By the time I reached my car, tears blurred the streetlights. And I whispered to myself, "Never again." Pause, slower pacing, sad music. That was the last family event I attended. In the weeks that followed, the silence was deafening. My phone lit up with messages about dinners, birthdays, family brunches. But I ignored them all. At first, it hurt. I told myself I was being too dramatic, too sensitive. That maybe they hadn't meant it that way. But deep down, I knew the truth. They had shown me my place. And I finally believed them. So, I turned away. I buried myself in work. Designing logos, sketching websites, building brands. What had once been a side job became my obsession. I stayed up late, fueled by coffee and silence, pouring my loneliness into creation. Days blurred into nights. Nights blurred into months. And slowly, something changed. Freelance projects grew. Clients returned. Word spread. My bank account, once barely scraping by, began to fill. The ache of that wedding night never left me, but it hardened into something sharper. Resolve. 1 year later, I signed the lease for a studio downtown. White walls. Big windows. The kind of space that smelled like fresh paint and possibility. I hung my first framed design on the wall, stood in the empty room, and whispered, "This is mine. I built this." Then came the call. It was a Sunday afternoon when my phone rang. My mother's name lit the screen. For a moment, I almost didn't answer. But I did. "Elena," she said, her voice sticky sweet, trembling at the edges. "It's been too long. How are you, sweetheart?" I swallowed hard. "I'm fine. Busy with work." There was a pause. Then, a sigh. "We've missed you. Listen, your brother's business, it's struggling. He's opening a new branch, but sales aren't what we hoped. He needs strong branding. You're so talented. Could you help him out? For family." I went still. Not a call to check on me. Not an apology. Just a request. "Mom," I said, slowly, carefully, "you know I run my own studio now. I don't work for free." Her tone sharpened instantly. "Elena, this is your brother. He's always been there for you. It's time you showed some loyalty." Loyalty. That word cut me deeper than any insult. Like seating me in the shadows while they toasted to him was loyalty. Like ignoring me for years was love. I closed my eyes, fighting the tears. "I'm sorry," I said. "I can't help him." The silence that followed was heavy. Then her voice snapped cold. "I hope you don't regret this." I hung up, my hands shaking. Not with fear, but with something new. Power. A month later, opportunity knocked. A rival company, Daniel's biggest competitor, reached out to me. They needed a full rebrand, a fresh start. And they wanted me. I worked day and night, poured every ounce of pain into that project. Every logo, every color scheme, every word carried the weight of years of invisibility, transformed into something undeniable. When launch day arrived, I stood in my studio surrounded by clients, friends, colleagues, my chosen family. The air buzzed with celebration. Glasses clinked. Laughter filled the room. For the first time in my life, I was at the head of the table. I took a photo. Me, standing in front of my studio's logo, smiling. Posted it online with the caption, "The best table is the one you build yourself." A week later, I heard the news. Daniel's business had folded. Poor sales. Failed expansion. Too much pride to adapt. And my parents, they stopped calling altogether. Maybe they saw my post. Maybe they finally understood. But the truth was, I didn't care. Because for once, I wasn't waiting for their invitation. I wasn't hoping for a seat at their table. I had carved my own. And sitting there, surrounded by people who saw me, who valued me, I realized something. The cruelest betrayal of all had given me the greatest gift. The freedom to walk away. I was never invisible. I was just at the wrong table.